Rhythm of War, the fourth installment in the illustrious Brandon Sanderson's epic fantasy, the Stormlight Archives. I'm a big fan of most of Sanderson's work. Stormlight Archives is such a fun, unique story, so suffice to say I was excited for book 4. I think I'm just going to get right into spoilers, so you've been warned. I'm just going to get right into it. Rhythm of War is a slower paced book. I would say that the intro of this book is the strongest of any of them. I think this is my favorite part 1 of any of the 4 books thus far. Some new POVs are brought into the fray, and they may or may not interest you. For myself, I wasn't that interested in most of the new characters that we got, and that is including the flashback character we had, Venli. So because of that, a large portion of the book felt uninteresting, and I wanted more from other characters. Another thing about this book that I kind of saw as a problem for me was that everybody felt very stuck in a situation, and it was difficult for me to feel like progress was being made. You know, Dalinar's out there in Emul just kind of either fighting or sitting down at camp. Kaladin, Rabaniel, Navani, so many other people are in Urithiru and they're just stuck there doing their thing. Adolin, Shallan, and all of those Radiants. I mean, Adolin's literally just in a prison, and then you don't see him for a long time, and then when we go back to him, he's still in prison. And this stuff is pretty much what makes up about, I would say, 70% of the book. So it can feel slow at times or like it's dragging, especially if you're not very interested in the POV characters that you're getting. But the lore expansion, the expansion of the magic system in this book, the mentions of more Cosmere-oriented things, that stuff is extra juicy. This book really starts to talk more about the Cosmere. References to other books and characters that may or may not be my favorite character. And although there are a couple of dry characters focused on, there are also a multitude that are amazing. The whole Die Hard experience in Urithiru was still really entertaining. I thought it was hilarious. Somebody commented on one of my videos that Kaladin was even barefoot at one point, and that was hilarious. I was worried about Teft. I found David to be very interesting. Kaladin's relationship with his father was great to see evolve. Pursuer was intimidating. I thought he brought so much tension to every moment that Kaladin had while he was just sneaking around Urithiru. Navani was probably my favorite character in this book. Seeing the respect between her and Rabaniel blossom was a highlight for me, alongside Kaladin and Leshwi's seeming respect, but we didn't really get to see that relationship form. It's already sort of formed after this time skip that starts us off into the book. Navani becoming a bondsmith and bonding with the sibling, I didn't think that was too surprising. I felt like that was a given. That was definitely going to happen, but I'm still glad that it did. Kaladin's fourth ideal, I feel like most people could have guessed what the ideal or the words would be. It was still satisfying to see how he gets to the point where he says the words. Losing Teft was brutal. He is one of my favorite characters, but at the same time, I have a bias for Bridge 4. I mean, even if nameless Bridge 4 members fall, I think it's still going to break my heart, so it is what it is. His memory will surely not be forgotten. On the other hand, Moash. I don't know how, but there's a reason Sanderson is making us hate Moash as much as he's making us hate him. I think he's going to pull the wool over our heads and somehow make us all like him. I don't know how he's going to do it, but I think that's what he's going to do. I am calling it. I find it interesting how some of the heralds just do nothing. Ash and Taln are just hanging around. I thought they were going to be a main focus of the book, but they're barely in it. The God Priest, Tezim, pops in at the sort of end section of the book with some cool insights. He shows off some bondsmith abilities where he uses some sort of lasso and directs the other Radiant's Stormlight downward. So I'm assuming that he's applying the adhesion surge and like somehow able to direct its gravity somewhere else. He also had a cool sword. It was pretty dope. And he found a semblance of sanity when a perpendicularity was opened. Cool. Before I forget, the whole situation with Shallan and Adolin going to the Honor-Spren stronghold, lasting integrity, it was okay. I didn't think it was that interesting. I have a really tough time finding Smeagol, Shallan, that interesting. At this point, whenever I get a chapter of Shallan from now on, I'm only going to be waiting for Mraize to show up just so that he can talk about Thydakar or anything about Scadrial. Pattern is fun. I think Pattern's an entertaining character. Adolin I usually like, but he was okay in this book too. I like his relationship with Maya, but again, I felt like it was obvious that Maya was going to be integral to how Adolin gained any level of support. Frankly, I was more curious about the other Radiants that were with them, because they were all cool, but we didn't get much of them either. Dalinar calling the Stormfather a coward as he pleaded for him to show mercy was such a wonderful scene to read. I felt like it paired really well with the scene where Maya approaches all of the Honor-Spren and basically claims that all of the Spren agreed to break this bond too. You know, people keep saying that Spren don't change, but humans do, and that's what makes us, not trustworthy. And, they say that we have no honor, and it's like, it's not that simple. I was hoping for more Zahel this book. He showed up at the beginning, and then Uruthiro gets taken hostage and he's nowhere to be found. I assumed Vasher of all people would be doing something because I sincerely doubt that he'd stick around. He's a highly invested individual, so I would bet that Odium would be quite curious about him if he saw him. Taravangian has got to be on my top 5 Stormlight characters list. It's such a treat to see his compassion and his desperation clash to create these somber moments between him and Dalinar, and just when he's by himself to his own thoughts. And I did not see him becoming Odium at all. I'm curious if the Night Mother's blessing will affect his intent in any way, or if it just sort of gets rid of it all. Because, spoilers for Mistborn, but in the Hero of Ages, when Sazed becomes Harmony, he is able to tap into his copper mines and stuff. So I don't know if maybe they're different, but I'm curious if it will affect anything. I ended this book really worried about Dalinar. I'm guessing that somehow he's going to either die or become Odium's champion. I think Kaladin might lose more people that he loves. I'm looking at his younger brother Oradin and Elokar's son Gavinor. I think Kaladin's going to be put into a situation where he might have to choose between one of those two to save. But maybe that's too dark. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I also don't like that Kelsier is being sort of put in this light as a villain. It kind of scares me because he's an incredibly competent and powerful individual, so I'm excited to see what happens, that's for sure. Overall, I would say that Rhythm of War was solid in terms of lore expansion, in terms of Navani, Kaladin, Rabaniel, but it did drag a bit too much for me, with a few uninteresting characters, particularly Venli and Shallan. So for those reasons, I would put Book 4 at the very bottom of my Stormlight rankings, but I want to make it clear that it doesn't mean that it's a bad book. It's just my least favorite of the 4. But what do you guys think? I want to hear it down below. Do you think that the Heralds are going to do anything our next book, or do you think they'll kind of stay on the sidelines and be crazy? Do you think that Taravangian's compassion will play a part at all in the betterment of Roshar? Comment down below and please let me know what you think. And don't forget to like and subscribe, that helps me out a lot. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.